A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to everyone. So there is something very common amongst all of us who are present here at this moment. One, we all respect time, so we are well on time. And second, we all care for our health, the health that includes every aspect of our physical and mental well-being. So on behalf of Kickstarts Rehabilitation, I, Dr. Saima Vasti, welcome each of you all and our very dear speakers. So to begin with, I would just give a brief outline about our today's discussion. The webinar today is based on three major objectives. The first part of our webinar is around the taboo of the taboo around mental health discussions, or around expressions of how we feel emotionally at times. The second part is the second objective, rather I would say, are the practical ways in which we can strengthen our own well-being. And third, how as an individual or as a professional, each of us can contribute to this cause of emotional wellness. So the people who are present out here are to learn on how we can develop our mental well-being and bring a normal curve to this discussion. So with this, I would like to introduce our speakers. I request our speakers to please switch on the videos. Thank you, ma'am. So I welcome our eminent speakers of today who hold an expertise in their field and their respective fields, and we are very grateful to them for joining us today in this very important discussion. We have with us Ms. Zehra Naqvi, who is a journalist and has spent a decade on writing about literature, gender and socio-political issues. She has written for various national and international publications, such as Indian Express, Reader's Digest, The Hindu, Financial Chronicles, Quint, Child Magazine, and Women's Web. There is also the author of a forthcoming memoir, which is to be published by Hay House. Thank you so much, Ms. Zehra, for joining us today.
Thank you, Saima.
We also have. Thank you so much. We also have with us another eminent speaker, Ms. Tina Dimple D'Souza. She's an occupational therapist and assistant professor in the Department of Occupational Therapy, Manipal College of Health Professionals. She has experience of working with adults with mental health issues and children with special needs. Her areas of work include mental health and well-being, health promotion, and disease prevention. I welcome you, ma'am, as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sana, for the introduction.
Okay. So we begin with our discussion about today and about today's objectives of Let's Talk Mental Health. So I would like to start with Ms. Zehra Naqvi. As a journalist and an author, you actively write about concerns related to mental health. So what made you vocal about this topic and the challenges you faced? So can you share your experience about this?
Thank you, Saima. I think that I started thinking about all this when I went through a period of postpartum depression after the birth of my son. And even before that, because I studied psychology at the undergraduate level, so I was pretty much aware that mental health is not something which is taboo, that it is just like your mind is like any other organ of the body, right? So in the same way that you would care for your liver or your kidney or your heart, in the same way you would care for your mind. So because I had studied psychology, so I had a basic framework, about what mental health is and why we should be concerned about it. But when I went through this period of postpartum depression, I was not aware, because this is not what we were taught. We were not taught about postpartum depression in college. So we were taught about child psychology and we were taught about basic psychology, even criminal psychology, but not about postpartum depression. So I wasn't aware of what was happening to me, and neither was anybody else around me. Because we live in these traditional societies, traditional setups, and even with family members who are empathetic, understanding, and loving, and educated and everything. Even so, this whole the idea of motherhood as something which is very, very holy and sacrosanct, and that a mother, how they could not grasp how and why a woman would not feel. I mean, a woman would feel anything except overjoyed at being a mother. So, in spite of the fact that I have a very supportive family, there was nobody who actually understood what I was going through, and I didn't understand what I was going through either. And I had all this guilt about being the anti-mother, so to speak. And why am I not feeling the natural? People say that the moment you look at your child, you fall in love with your child, and all those things. But it wasn't that way for me. And then the more I read up about it, and afterwards in the subsequent years, I started reading about these things. So it's not, all these concepts are not, it's not as instinctive as we make it appear to be. All these things, it's, a mother is born along with the child, so you grow as the child grows older, you grow and you learn also. But then at that point of time, I was not able to cope with all the varied emotions that were going on inside my head, inside my heart, so to speak. And I realized that I needed professional help. So I actually went out and sought therapy, and I sought counseling. And there were other issues in my life also which sort of aggravated the problem. But the thing is that there was no awareness in the people who were around me, neither friends nor family. So nobody could tell me what to do. They could not really uh, offer me any emotional support because they did not understand it. Not that they were not willing to support, but they didn't understand it. So I think that all of this made me vocal about this, because when you see that you've gone through something, you want to help other people who are going through it. And you want to sort of proactively reach out to people to make them feel less alone. Because when you're going through something like this, you feel alone. You feel like nobody understands you. Even your friends don't understand you. And you want to express something, but you're unable to express because that empathy, that understanding of what you're going through is not there. This is why I started speaking about it, because I wanted to reach out to people who are feeling alone, to let them know that they're not alone. That if I can help in any way, howsoever small or insignificant it is, I would do whatever I can. Yeah.
So this entire process, what were the challenges that you came across from the society per se? Can you share any of those specific memories?
So first of all, in my case, there is this whole, like I said, the persona of the mother. First, I think this is a bilingual thing, right? So we're supposed to speak in
Yes,
both
yes, you can,
languages.
yes.
So as I was saying, the first thing is, firstly, mental health को इतना ज़्यादा taboo बना रखा है कि आप जहाँ पे डॉक्टर के पास जाने में you wouldn't feel afraid or ashamed, लेकिन थेरेपिस्ट के पास या साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास या काउंसलिंग लेने के लिए there is this whole attitude of ये पागल है. It's like that. You brand someone as psycho. That you're crazy, you're mad. You don't look at it as an illness, as a temporary condition. अगर किसी को बुखार आ रहा है या किसी को कोई डेंगू फीवर हो गया है या मलेरिया हो गया या टाइफाइड हो गया है, तो आप उसको एक परमानेंट कंडीशन के तौर पे नहीं व्यू करते हैं. You view it as a temporary condition कि ठीक है, ऐसा हो गया है, ठीक, this is a difficult time, to go to the concerned person, to the expert, और उससे विल सीक हेल्प, और हम कोशिश करेंगे कि इसको ठीक कर सकें. इस चीज के लिए हम सॉल्यूशंस ढूंढेंगे, और ये एक टेम्पररी पीरियड है, ये दिस विल पास, ये हो जाएगा, ये ठीक हो जाएगा. बट ये एटीट्यूड मेंटल हेल्थ को लेकर नहीं है. अगर कोई अपने घर में ये बताता है या कहता है कि आई नीड थेरेपी, तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल पेरेंट्स आर लाइक बिल्कुल इस बारे में बात नहीं करना, किसी को बताना नहीं, कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, सब क्या कहेंगे. और इंडियन सोसाइटी में तो कुछ और ऐसे पर्टिकुलर खास वेरी इंडियन इश्यूज हैं कि अगर कोई लड़की है और शी इज अनमैरिड, तो देन अरे तुमसे शादी कौन करेगा, that kind of thing. So all these taboos are there कि somehow if you need help with a mental health issue, then you're crazy, you're a psycho. But just to address all the participants here, अगर आपको वाकई में you want to know what a psycho is, you watch Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. उसमें आपको वाकई साइको नजर आएगा. सो अनलेस एंड अंटिल यू आर अ सीरियल किलर जिसने लोगों को मार मार कर स्टोर कर रखा है अपने घर में, unless and until you are like that, you are not a psycho. Simply having a temporary mental issue जिसमें आप परेशान हैं या अपने emotions को लेके आप confused हैं, you're not able to cope with some particular situation in life, that does not make you a psycho. Unless you are a serial killer, then you are a psycho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So that was a very good share from Ms. Zehra when she spoke about what she went through after her pregnancy and the postpartum depression aspect. There's one more thing that I would like to just add here, Ms. Zehra. So when you spoke about postpartum depression and you said you were not able to understand what is going on,
Exactly.
share because it's a first-hand experience, can you share with our participants here what was it that you were going through at that time so that people can relate on the clinical aspect also of it?
So firstly, I had a difficult pregnancy. Difficult in the sense that I was throwing up like 6 or 8 times in a day and I was not able to eat anything. I used to have pregnancy migraines and shooting headaches and all kinds of body aches, and I was not able to, I had to quit my job, and I really loved my job, and having to quit it took a toll on my mental well-being. क्योंकि घर पे रहने की आदत नहीं थी, and then you are suddenly, एक तो आप for 8-9 hours you're in a job that you really love, आप ऐसे काम कर रहे हैं, ऐसी चीजों में इन्वॉल्व हैं जिसमें आपको खुशी मिल रही है, and then suddenly you're at home and you're alone, and you also feel कि एक setback हो गया लाइफ में, right? कि जो मैं कर रही थी मैं नहीं कर पा रही हूँ जो मैं करना चाह रही थी. So all of these things were sort of making me resent the fact that I was on the way to becoming a mother. That is a very strong emotion to experience. Or first of all, and my pregnancy was not even planned; it just happened. You know. So it एक तो ये है कि if you are planning for something and you're ready for it, and then you're able to sort of, you're already ready for it. आपका mind prepared है कि हाँ ठीक है ये करने जा रहे हैं. This is the next step in our life. But if you're not prepared for it, and it's a huge thing. Pregnancy, you know, becoming a mother is a huge thing. It's a huge change in life. So your mind needs to be prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for it. So all of those things were already there. Plus, then I had this very difficult pregnancy. So that also created confusions. Okay, what is happening to me? क्या होने वाला है? ना, the future becomes uncertain. So उस सब चीजों की वजह से I was not so like over the moon कि मैं बड़ी खुश हो रही थी कि हाँ this is what's going to happen. I was also apprehensive, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen. Also there is this thing, अगर आपके आसपास बहुत ज़्यादा pressure है ना to feel happy about something, तो आप ये बोल नहीं सकते कि I have conflicting emotions about it. किसी भी relationship में, if it's not necessarily a mother and a child, अपने parents को लेकर भी इंसान के conflicting emotions होते हैं. स्पेशली टीनेज में आपको लगता है कि पेरेंट्स जो आपके ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा फोर्स अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा आपको रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो आपको कभी कभी अपने पेरेंट्स को रिजेंट करने लग जाते हैं. It doesn't mean you don't love them, you know. With your spouse, it happens कि आपके लड़ाई झगड़े हो जाते हैं कभी, there is a difference of opinion about something, या कोई clashes हैं, friends में हो जाता है, siblings में हो जाता है. So in every relationship there are these conflicting emotions. लेकिन जहाँ पर माँ की बात आ जाती है, so we don't want to even accept that a mother can have conflicting emotions. We don't want to accept mothers as human beings. They're like ये तो माँ है, ये तो देवी है. So that aspect is also overwhelming कि आप अगर बोले भी कि मैं ये I have these apprehensions or I have this conflict in my mind or ऐसा I'm not the way you think that I should be. So people will hush you up. अरे नहीं ऐसे कैसे बोल रही हो, तुम कैसी माँ हो, तुम कैसी औरत हो, no? Those kind of things that they stop you from expressing what you want to express. And then of course when the child is born, that's also a very difficult phase in life. It's you know taking care of keeping alive. अगर मैं कहूँ कि आपको जिंदा रखना होता है एक बच्चे को, literally you have to be aware of the child कि उसकी feeding and cleaning and sleeping and all of that. And so see we hear about these cases जहाँ पे the child stopped breathing or something like that and the parents did not come to know until a long time. So you have to be constantly aware of what's happening to the child. आपका सारा का सारा focus जो है वो एक बंदे को, एक बच्चे को, छोटे बच्चे को, you have to keep that child alive primarily. And it's a very difficult phase in life. So I think we should be allowed to talk about those conflicting feelings that we have. Doesn't mean that you don't love your child. You want to love your child, but then ये total self denial कि मेरी कोई feelings नहीं है, या मेरी कोई ड्रीम्स नहीं है या मेरी कोई डिजायर्स नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता है ना. द मदर इज ऑल्सो अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. You have dreams, you have desires, you have needs, you have wants. So they should also be considered. अगर आप किसी से कहें अरे मैं पूरी रात सोई नहीं हूँ और आई एम सो टायर्ड एंड आई हैवंट बीन एबल टू स्लीप, माय चाइल्ड हैज बीन क्राइंग ऑल नाइट, एंड उसके बाद जो घर के बड़े हैं वो कहें कि इसीलिए तो माँ का दर्जा बड़ा होता है, so that's very annoying, you know. At that time you need validation for your feelings कि हाँ भाई अभी understand this is what happens, you know. So like it's difficult.
Yeah.
अगर आपको कह दिया जाए कि तुम कंप्लेन मत करो, बच्चा तो तुम्हारा, ये शिकायत करने की क्या जरूरत है. Not just stopping people from speaking about the difficult parts of motherhood, that is also very problematic.
So that's a very, yes. Thank you so much. That was a very wonderful point put by Ms. Zehra, that we all have within ourselves conflicting emotions, and suppressing those emotions and not allowing us to speak can also take a toll of what we are going through at that moment. So this is one aspect of the taboo that we were discussing, which has been very nicely highlighted by ma'am right now. And just to add here one aspect, now to all the participants, I didn't mention at the start, we will be taking all your questions in the chat section at the end of this discussion, at the end of our panel talk. So please, if you have any question during the conversation or during the discussion, you can keep it with yourself, write it down, or you can just drop it into the chat section, and we will be addressing to this. Here, like we heard the experiences of Zehra ma'am on how she went through a difficult phase, and what are the challenges she faced at that moment, right from the society to her own self, her own awareness. So here I would like to request our other speaker, Ms. Dina, if we can just share. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so here I would like to put up I would like to open another conversation here, that you are a professional who works in this sector of mental health. So how will you put up mental health or mental well-being or emotional well-being, the way we all use it differently? And what are your clinical experiences from the patient, family, and other perspectives? Please, can you highlight on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Saima, for the question. Yeah. Thank you, Saima, for the question. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, from my clinical experience to say about, what Zehra ma'am had said is, most of the cases are not able to identify any signs. They're not able to, they might take 2 years, they might take 3 years. There are a lot of patients who are still in the society who are not seeking help. That still is there. Okay, when we get cases, it could have been, they have seen, okay, when we talk to them, they will say that 3 years back we noticed the client was not talking, the client started not going to school is one thing, or not sleeping properly, not having food on time. These are the initial signs that you can see in a person. Okay, but this might be neglected by the family members, or not noticed, or they may not be paid attention to it, or it may not be considered as a serious sign. It can happen in normal person also for 1 day, for 2 days, but it extends. But when it extends for prolonged period of time, that is when the person has to seek a professional help.
Just excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. If you could be just a little louder.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So this thing is what I mentioned about it. It can delay. The seeking professional help can be delayed. Okay, when you are not able to identify, and it is this what is happening in right now in the society. That's what I could explain you about what I've seen. I have seen the clinical thing about the cases who have come late for the therapy. But I will be explaining about mental health, how you have said that it's difficult to understand, no one was able to identify, or no one was able to help out. So that I will take in my presentation, how to identify or what we are doing for our mental health. It will be basically, I will compare with the physical health, so that it will be easy for the audience and the participants to understand. Yes, Saima, do you want me to
Yeah, please share the screen.
Yes, yes. So I will share. I'll start with my presentation. I just want I have a question for the audience. If you could, it's not a question. It's just about we do lot for our physical health, right? Most of us are doing lot for our physical health, and if they can type it in, this thing also is wonderful. What is that chat box? What you are doing for your physical health, and we have this code. There are a lot of people who are using menti.com so that they can use this code which is seen on my are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, please make it full share.
Yes. uh, yes, so you can open the Google and go to menti.com, and you can type the code 735243, and you can say what people do to maintain the physical health.
Yeah. So what ma'am is saying, all the participants, whoever is interested, I would say all of you should. You can log in right away at another browser, menti.com, that she has shared on her screen. And the minute you open this browser, there will be an access code dialog box opening. So you can enter this digit over here, and there will be set of questions down there. You write down those answers, and the answers will be reflected over here on the screen right now. So we can take the conversation a little forward on this.
Yes.
So if quickly some of you can take it up.
Yes, yes. So what has happened is like 20 years back, 30 years back, no one focused on the physical health, maintaining the physical health. There were no gyms, there were no nutrition things coming up. There was nothing called as diet. Okay, we have to eat a healthy diet, or you have to take care of your body, physics. Those things were not there. Okay. So now, right now, if you see the parents also lot focusing on the person's child's physical health. Okay. So now people are also, if you see the community also is lot focusing on the physical health. Yeah, we have lot of questions coming, answers coming in. People
Yes.
exercise, people do badminton, you have walking, you have yoga, the common thing, dancing, eating. Yes, good, that's wonderful. So we have lot of things that we do for our physical health. Even going to the doctors, checking on the parameter, BP, diet, weight, those things. People, a lot of focus is happening on the physical health.
Wonderful. We've got a variety of answers here on the screen from our participants.
Yes, yes,
Uh, right from the food, diet, walking, dancing,
yes,
meditation, a lot of answers.
yes,
Interesting.
yes, yes. Jogging. So yeah, proper food is mentioned. Swimming is there. Activity. These are the activities lot of people take care of for the physical health. Now, I think I will go back to the second thing. We'll think about now what we are going to do. Even the community, I have to say that, like a lot of things, lot of centers in the community for the physical health. Now we'll just take a time and see what we are doing for a mental health. Okay, I'll be sharing the second question regarding that.
Yes.
Yes. We have still answers coming in.
Wonderful.
Yes. So now for all of you to reflect. Okay. So what we are going to do for mental health? Are we thinking of mental health, or are we doing something to maintain our mental health, or is it ignored? If anyone has that they do something for the mental health, mental well-being. Yes, oh, good. We have people responding. That's art, craft, reading. Yes. Journaling, mindfulness, quiet time. Good. Writing down the feelings.
Wonderful.
Good. So good. Okay, we have a lot of things. Studying about it, yes. Decluttering. We have activities, talking to friends, writing down the feelings, keeping myself away from things, reading stories, self-help groups. This also.
It's wonderful to see such huge responses coming.
So we have the participants who are actually taking care of mental health. That's
the reason they're here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Very heartening to see this.
Definitely.
Even quiet time is something that we need to keep for ourselves. Okay. Um, Talking to friends, spending personal time. It's a very, very wonderful thing. It's not like most of the time it happens that we do things for others. We actually have lot of roles. We'll be working. We'll take care of the children. The person might be taking care of the siblings, studying, all these things. So people, a lot of the time, they ignore their own time. We don't keep time for ourselves. That's a wonderful thing. Someone has written about that about personal time also. It makes a lot of difference when we give time to ourselves. And what happens in the present society is like we don't take care of ourselves. We take care of the family we have. It is defined by the society. Okay, once you grow up, you take care of your what to say, parents, you take care of your siblings or family members. That's what the society is expecting, and we go with that. This is all what we talk to the children, how the society defines. Now, if we change the communication style, what we talk to the society, what we talk to others, that actually brings a change. So we'll go listening to music. I will just read out gratitude diary. Yeah, that's good. So a lot of the time, yeah, a lot of the time what happens is we focus what we don't have. We compare ourselves with others, and we say that okay, that person is able to do things. As a mother, Zara ma'am had said that okay, she could not cope up with. That can be compared. Sometimes it happens that okay, the other house lady was able to do things. Why not me? Okay, so one has to be has that appreciation for oneself or feel gratitude that they are able to do. So that's a
Very
good thing.
nice point.
Yeah. Reading good books is one thing. Now we have ma'am with us, so it's a inspiration for others also. It's not like I'm the only one. There are a lot of people in the society. And one person starts talking out, it will be like you won't feel that you are only person. You feel that there are other people also along with you who has problems. It's okay to have, or it's fine to feel negative emotions. Sometimes it's always not that you have only positive emotions. You will experience positive and negative emotions, and it's not like it will be there for it will be there in the part of a life from the birth. If you see that till the adulthood, everyone till the end of the life, everyone experience all kind of emotions. It depends on how we are dealing with that emotions, what intensity are we affecting the relationships, or those emotions are affecting the occupations, are we not? That's how it goes about. I have to talk about, but I'll be coming in the detail later.
Okay, nice.
Yes, that's good actually. We have a lot of people, Saima, your participants are a lot taking care of the mental health.
That's really wonderful to see such a huge response coming in,
Yes.
and a variety of responses. In fact, a lot of ideas can be picked up from here itself on how we can work on our own aspect.
Yes, I would just something that hit me was cleaning. Someone has said cleaning as this thing to take care of the mental health. Okay, that can be someone who says cleaning as very what to say frustrating for them. They may not like it. Okay, so this activities, what I say is like it depends subjective. It is very subjective. What is good for my mental health may not be good for the others' mental health. Okay, if I
Very
have
good point.
yes, yeah. So see what you like. You have to think about how you feel when you do an occupation or an activity. That actually says whether you are feeling good about itself or you're feeling frustrated about itself. That it has an impact on your mental health. How you view about the activity also. What experience you get doing that activity.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's a good start to go with.
Definitely, indeed.
Yeah. So I'll move about, like I would start with the lockdown story, how I'm going to start with my presentation. So we have lots happening because of the lockdown. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So, so a lot of issues when I can say that now because of occupational disruption or stop doing things. We have very limited occupations or very limited activities to do, and how that has affected a person's mental health.
Hmm.
Just to confirm, you're able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Oh, okay, fine. So that's the thing. It's a lockdown, and you might see in the social media, or you can see everywhere. You have people baking things, you have people exercising, or you might have people doing crafts, you might have people doing a lot of gardening, talking to family. Many of them have got connected to the family. These things are happening. And one of the small thing conversation I have written is, Shilpa, this you can look at the story. We'll look at the story and reflect on it. What it says. Hey, I baked a cake in lockdown without an oven, and it turned out to be very delicious. Everyone loved it in my family, especially my kids. You know, I never liked cooking, but this was something very easy. It's not costly, hardly took 1 hour. I will continue this post lockdown. And Deepa says, I like your idea. I think I should try. Okay. This is a small conversation between two people on one of the activity that I could say as cooking. Okay, how was the perception of cooking? It's like she never liked cooking, but if you have to reflect, let us reflect on it, and then we see how doing is affecting the mental health. Okay, she has if you see the person has when the occupation is done, the person has a feedback from that occupation. Correct? The person, the outcome of that occupation. That is like the cake has come out very delicious, and the feedback given by the kids, they loved it. That makes the person. Okay. Now, when we see things, when we do things from the childhood, if I have to say, when we do certain things, when the child start studying or doing activities, what is the feedback? What is the conversation we give to the child? Okay, do we appreciate the person? If you appreciate, the person will continue, or will criticize, or will increase the expectation. This is how things will form. Okay, and how the person felt good by doing things. Okay, so I wanted to say that when we do things, how it has an impact on occupation. Okay,
Yes.
so the same thing when I had asked about the occupations and the mental health per se, what people do for your mental health, you have said lot of activities, and that activity has an impact. You experience it. One thing is when you're baking, you do it out of love. It could be out of affectionate, or it could be a responsibility itself. Okay, that you have to do it. Sometimes it can be some people may not do anything. They will think that, okay, fine, lockdown, I have not done anything, so I feel guilty about it. That also can happen. Okay, they are not able. They are going to compare with other people and say that, okay, I have not done. That can cause trouble. Okay, you have to focus on yourself. It's not like all people are able to do everything. That's one thing, and it's okay. You need to know about your limitations, how much you can do, and what do you feel by doing things. That's very important. Now with the fast pace, what happens is people are not able to even feel or experience those occupations. The emotions are the activities are going, the world is going so fast. There's no time to reflect for yourself. One of the activities given is personal time or reflecting, journal writing. That will help you to realize what you like, what you don't like, how you feel it. So you have time for yourself. You know what is frustrating for you, what is disliked for you. It also helps in knowing what is liking, what experience is good for you. It helps in developing those things.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Any other views you have or any experiences you have to add? I'm open for it.
That was
That's
a good perspective that you shared many a times in the activities that we are doing itself. If we start viewing it from a different perspective, then definitely that plays a different role. This is what we are talking from a professional perspective, because we belong to the stream of occupational therapy, and activity and occupation, all these things comes like core. So definitely we are looking at it and defining it. So I would like to take a little, I would like to go to Zehra ma'am also and ask over here. So the part that Dina ma'am explained on engaging into these activities and how this helps, have you experienced it at any time?
Yes, certainly. To some extent, but not entirely, because it depends on your situation also. Because, like I said, that when I was in this whole depression thing, so I was also facing this unique problem of the fact that my husband and I were staying in different countries, and it just happened after the birth of my child. So somehow I subconsciously associated that separation from my husband with the arrival of my child, that
Okay.
kind of subconscious association. So I began to resent it. Why did this happen? I was living a happy enough life. I had my job, I had my life partner, and I was living a great life. And now suddenly everything, I had to quit my job because of my health issues and because of taking care of the child. And then my husband had to get a job in a different country. And all these issues were coming up. So like Dina ma'am said that, yes, so I involved myself in studying further, and I'm in reading and in things that actually, engage my mind. And it did help, but it's sort of like a temporary thing. It takes your mind away from those negative thoughts for the moment. But unless and until the underlying issue is resolved, these things cannot actually act as long-term solutions. Like, for example, if I'm feeling overwhelmed by a feeling of, loneliness, then I can sort of call up a friend, or, go out somewhere and go and eat at a restaurant, watch a movie. Then I might feel my mood would change, and I would be able to distract myself from those thoughts of anxiety and depression and all that. So as something, as we are moving from point A to point B towards healing, so these are all these steps that we take, like little steps that we take. But if
Yes.
somebody has a major underlying issue, which is the reason for depression, then unless we address that major reason, we cannot really have a long-term solution.
That's a very good point. So, Dina ma'am, would you like to add on something here?
Yes. Yeah. This happens like when you have this thing, what to say, underlying cause, when it's not at this, that uncertainty, or you feel that no one is understanding. Okay, that can happen. And when it is a major thing,
Yeah.
When it is a major thing, that's why I'm saying that mental health, like if it sustains for a long period of time and you're not able to enjoy those things, and actually you need to take a professional help. That's why you feel like, okay, fine, it's there for a long period of time. You're not able to sustain with this thing. This, whatever I have said about the activities you're doing, that's I'm saying for the care. It's
Yes.
not like someone has
Okay.
a problem. It's not like
Okay.
someone has a problems and you're doing it. When you have a problem, you need to understand what is the problem, and it is not solved. Okay, you're doing all things. You're trying your best. You're trying to take good sleep. You're talking to your friends. You're struggling with yourself, but still you're not able to do it. Then it's better to take a professional help so that you'll understand what is the cause, what is the solution, and what actually basically the problems are there. So how to go about it. That's
Yes.
where you need to go for the sign. I could say like you stop doing everything, but still you're not satisfied with doing things.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think with this conversation, how I would sum it up all is whatever activities and the aspects that Dina ma'am mentioned over here is a part of on a regular basis how we take care of ourselves, because this is something that we start addressing to. That is what she opened with. We take care of the physical health, how we are working consciously and in awareness. We are working upon our mental health. But the aspect that Zahra ma'am added here is when somebody is struggling through something or going on a particular or going through a tough phase and they are not aware of what it could be depression or any other condition which is undiagnosed. That is the time when we have to identify people around us or self identify and reach out for a professional help and consider this as normal as any other physical illness. So I think this from the conversation till here we can take here. Now I would like to take yes, Adina ma'am, would you like to continue on this aspect that you were discussing on?
Yes,
Yes, yeah,
yes. So we have spoken about how to take care of mental health without,
yes.
like, I'm not speaking about the illness, but I'm saying the participants, how you can take of your care of
Hmm.
yourself, like how
Hmm.
you are taking care of your physical health, and most of them are doing. Like what I think to know from this is that now we'll see on this thing about mental health. Of course, it is possible to have mental health problems while being generally happy with life, and to be generally happy, generally unhappy with life without a mental health problem.
That's true.
Sometimes, yes,
Hmm.
yeah, it happens that you have a problem, still people can be happy, and you don't have as such per se diagnosis, per se anything, but still people can be unhappy about things and unhappy about life. They may not be satisfied. It's common. Okay, mental health is not associated. It's not that if the person does not have any disease first.
Hmm.
Okay, Then moving on to the second part, it's just to for the understanding have kept it. What is mental health? It is mental health is a state of well-being where individual realizes his or own abilities and copes with the normal stress of life and can work productively and is able to contribute to the society or the community. So, as a person, what happens is we know our abilities, we know our limitations. We cannot do all the roles. If you take an example of a mother, if you have to take, you have multiple roles. Okay, that may not be, you may not have all the skills. It's not like just you become a mother, you get all the skills to do multiple tasking. It comes with time. There is sudden transition. When you see this transition, mothers to like wife to mother, or it can be a college student who is getting immediate a job. So there are a lot of transitions happening. Okay, it can be from retirement, working to retirement. Okay, so there are a lot of transitions happening, and in that transition, I'll come back to that. In that transition, we need skills. It might take what to say time for them to actually learn about it. Okay, what happens in the society is people are expecting. Okay, suddenly you became a mother, you have to do this thing, or you suddenly started working, you have to be able to meet the expectations, or you get retired, you have to cope up with this. So the person should know that there are certain limitations of the person, and the person has a chance to grow, and has the person has a chance to learn about it. It's not always there can be limitations. There are limitations in the person. So it's better for the person to know about his abilities and limitations. So that is not
Definitely.
struggle with the expectation. Okay,
Yes.
or struggle him with himself that guilt will come. Okay, I'm not able to do. Others are able to do. Okay,
Hmm.
so person stress is one thing which is very common right now. It is they say stress is positive and negative. It depends
Yes.
on if there is a stress. If I have to say for the college students, if a student is going to, it's a little amount of stress can make a
Hmm.
student read for the exam. At the same time, that stress itself can be perceived negatively by other students, and they may not actually go for studying. They can cause a harm to themselves.
Hmm.
Okay. So now how the person deals with the stress is also, it is important to understand how the person deals with the stressful situations, how the person is able to cope up with the stressful situation. What are the strategies the person is using? If the person fails with the strategies, that can cause a problem. Okay.
Hmm.
And now I've said, I have started with the occupations also. I've said that when we say that mental health or you're feeling good, when you feel good, you do things, a lot of things, right? So as a person, if you are able to contribute for yourself, that is for your basic living, plus for your others. That's how you're feeling about describes in terms of activities you do. You snowman space without doing anything. Every person wants to do something. Okay,
Hmm.
it may not be a paid job. It can be unpaid job. Productivity is not always paid job. It can be unpaid job also. So that's what it contributes to yourself and the society. So
Yes.
yes, summarize that one person should know about the abilities and the limitations and how the person is able to cope up with things and still able to be productive enough. Productivity, I'm not stating in terms of paid work, it comes in terms of doing things. It could be for
Hmm.
themselves a small thing if they are able to do and you're able to sustain.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
activity engagement is something that here we can take a crux on. Here I would like to just add on another dimension to look at it. Like you mentioned on both the aspects, when there's somebody on the illness aspect or somebody who, how we can just cope up with or work upon our mental health. So here another dimension is a lot of times there are people around us who are going through certain tough times
Hmm.
and who are struggling, we don't know. Diagnosed, undiagnosed, we are not aware of. So, a lot of times, in the pretext of helping or in the pretext of just talking, we overdo. We over
Yes.
rationalize, start blaming. So, here I will quickly move to Zara ma'am and ask over here if there were any such experiences you had, or have you faced any, or how do you look at it? Because a lot of times there is over happening to help, and there's a lot harm happening than actual help itself.
Right, right. So not just my own personal experience, but like as you said, that I also post on social media and talk about these things. So
Hmm.
a lot of people understand that I am open to talking about this, so they feel that I'm approachable. So they talk about their problems with me. So many times what happens is that family and friends, when they see that a person is troubled or facing anxiety or is depressed generally or unhappy, so they say, just be strong, come out of it. you know.
Hmm.
कितने दिन तक चलेगा ये? Now you be strong and now you just snap out of it and you know all these things, which is fine, but then we also have to understand that it takes time for a wound to heal. अगर आपको फिजिकली भी चोट लग गई है तो एकदम ऐसे चुटकी बजाते ठीक नहीं हो जाएगी. अगर किसी के हाथ में फ्रैक्चर हो गया है तो वो उसको 1 महीने 2 महीने कास्ट में रखना ही पड़ेगा, तभी वो उसकी बोन जो है वो रीअलाइन होगी एंड द हैंड विल बिकम यूजेबल. ये नहीं हो सकता कि आप ये कहें कि अरे बस अब तुम स्ट्रांग हो जाओ और फौरन अपना हाथ यूज करना शुरू करो. दैट्स नॉट पॉसिबल. So in the same way that physical wounds and physical injuries take their own time to heal, you know, जितनी जितनी गहरी चोट होगी उतनी देर से ठीक होगी. That is also there, right? एक छोटा सा कट लग जाएगा तो जल्दी ठीक हो जाएगा और फ्रैक्चर होगा तो देर में ठीक होगा. So that is also there with mental health issues, that you know the bigger the trauma, the longer it's going to take to heal. So as family, as friends, we should also be understanding of the person. You know, we should offer them all the kind of help that we can give, but not sort of push them to snap out of it, because it's not something that's in your control. So you just generally move. You can like Dina ma'am suggested, you know, all these things of doing things and being, you know, being productive, or you know, that sometimes we should suggest to people that you paint or you know, like you cook or you read, or you know, you sort of distract your mind from constantly ruminating over the negative thing. If it's, yeah, so there is something that can be changed, so then we work towards changing it. Or if there is an issue which cannot be changed, for example, somebody died, you can't bring that person back, but you can actually take the person who is grieving, uska mind, you can sort of distract it and help them to cope with it through productive activities. But you can't say कि just snap out of it. You know, it's not possible. And dying is a very extreme example. You know, there are people come into your lives and they sort of walk out of it. Friendships टूट जाती हैं, and in romantic relationships it happens. So it's not possible to just snap out of it like that. It takes time to heal. So I think that as family and friends, we should understand that, you know, that the person is healing and it will take time.
That's a very beautiful perspective. I would like Dina ma'am to add on a little more professional aspect to this. That how, as a professional, you would go about suggesting people.
Yeah, sometimes what Zaraman had said, that if you are not healing, it will take time. Sometimes you have people who had major trauma where, you know, past and was suppressed, and you have, after so long, you have sudden blown up of illness coming up. Okay, because the person has not ill. It was like demand was so fast, they started, they just ignored or pushed out, and they started moving with the what to say, with the pace of life. It was not given
Yes.
time for it. It can come up as a blown up what. It can be very what to say, can cause damage. That's how it goes on if you are not giving time or if you're not healing. So a lot of times, if you reflect back, it could be the childhood issues which were happening, and then after 10 years, 15 years, you have, if you trace back, it was something that has happened, and then the person has not actually dealt with that emotions, and it has come out in a different form. So this is possibility of happening, which if you are not dealing appropriate with the emotions.
Yes. So this we can I would put it up in the structure that whenever somebody is going through any struggle, हमें इस चीज का ध्यान रखना चाहिए जब हम interact कर रहे हैं कि you give space to the person. You don't stand on their head and bang on. You should start feeling happy all of a sudden. It's about emotions.
Yes.
So our approach should be very sensitive. Like I give an example of a bee sting many times. When a bee stings us, there is a wound or there is something that happens on the hand, and we gently do icing or any ointment or something. So we gently go about that. Bee sting is like some, you know, that I would put it up the trigger for the person. You don't snap it and make the wound much bad. So this is one thing that I would put it up here. Ki we should be very gentle in our approach and very wise about our choice of words. So that's one aspect. Here we would head to another concept of the family atmosphere. Family atmosphere in the well-being or the mental well-being aspect. So, Tara ma'am, would you like to add something here?
So, like I already said, that as family, we should be understanding of the person's journey and where they are in that journey. From the point of view of a parent, I would sort of address this question, because now my son is 7 years old, and I feel that especially हमारी society में, you see the way that mothers function, तो उनका ज़्यादातर जो focus है वो physical health पर होता है, especially, you know, दूध पिलाना, खाना खिलाना, तो बच्चे को mota banana, that kind of thing. So there is so much focus on feeding and on the body that we forget that the mind is so much more important. कि emotions जो है, अगर आपकी body healthy है लेकिन आपका mind healthy नहीं है, you can't function properly. Emotional health पे जो focus है वो ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, sort of making ourselves approachable to our children. कि हम अपने बच्चे से इस तरह बात करें कि वो अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स हमसे शेयर करने में हेजिटेट ना करे, या हम उसकी प्रॉब्लम्स को बिलिटल ना करें, अरे ये कौन सी बड़ी बात है. इट्स वेरी मच पॉसिबल कि हमारे लिए बड़ी बात नहीं है बिकॉज वी हैव सीन बिगर थिंग्स, लेकिन जो बच्चा है वो एट दैट स्टेज इन देयर लाइव्स उनके लिए वो बड़ी चीज है बिकॉज दे हैव नॉट सीन बिगर थिंग्स देन दैट. तो उसके लिए तो वो लाइफ का सबसे बड़ा इशू है एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. So as parents, and not just mothers, I am saying parents because fathers also have a very important role to play in this. Particularly if I give my own example, तो अपने बेटे को मैंने और मेरे हस्बैंड ने, हमने दोनों ने उसको ऑन अ वेरी फ्रीक्वेंट बेसिस हम उससे कहते हैं कि कभी भी कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो यू कैन कम टू आइदर ऑफ अस. ये नहीं कि सिर्फ मम्मी के पास या बाबा के पास, मम्मी के पास, दोनों के पास यू कैन कम एंड वट एवर इट इज यू कैन शेयर. इनफैक्ट आई गो टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ सेइंग कि अगर मैंने तुम्हें कुछ करने को मना भी किया है और तुमने उसे कर दिया फिर भी, तो भी तुम मुझे बता सकते हो कि तुमने क्यों किया. अगर तुमने कोई शरारत की है, इवन देन यू कैन कम एंड टेल मी एंड यू कैन से कि मम्मी मैं नहीं करूंगा, या मैंने इसलिए किया, या मुझे इस चीज की जरूरत थी सो मैंने किया. तो कम्युनिकेशन ओपन रखना बहुत जरूरी है, so that children don't feel isolated, so that they know कि हाँ ठीक है. फ्रेंड्स तो एक चीज है, बट फ्रेंड्स तो उन्हीं की लेवल के है ना, तो वो उनको अपने ही लेवल से एडवाइस दे सकते हैं. But to have parents being from because as parents we have more experience of life, तो parents से open होने के वजह से उनको ये benefit है कि that they can get better advice in the sense of more experience.
Yes, that was a wonderful piece of advice and a good explanation. Here, Dina ma'am, I would like to bring in a little more. What Zahra ma'am spoke about is the emotional health that we build in the home atmosphere for each other, be it kids or for our other family members in every aspect. The second part I would ask is if there is somebody in the home who is having diagnosed with some issue or is going through a depression or any other condition. Okay, we have since our agenda is not about the illnesses part, that is why I'm not naming, just using a common one. So how are they supposed to handle, approach, or how is that taboo to be worked upon, the taboo that comes in just with the diagnosis?
When we have a diagnosis, it's a big thing. It's a big stigma. And if you give any, I don't want to mention any diagnosis per se or say, there are a lot of names stated as. And it is underestimated. The person, in the moment the person gets diagnosed, it does not mean the person loses everything. What happens in the family, they may not involve the person in decision making or asking with the person. It is underestimated. The moment it comes as mental illness, what happens is like, okay, this person cannot do anything. It's crazy. That kind of a thing comes in. That itself is going to cause a damage for the person. The person feels okay, fine. And now it is not said directly. Indirectly, we are conveying to the person. Gee, when we are not asking. Previously, all the conversation you had in the family, you had everything. Like you were asking the member, like what to do, how to go about it, discussing. Every conversation was happening, and suddenly you feel that okay, this person has illness, and it stopped, and the person feels like incapable. So we should not, we should avoid underestimating the person. At the same time, sometimes because of you feel that the person is not able to do anything, you are overdoing. And the person feels helpless. Okay, I am not able to do. Previously, I was able to do. I was able to do. This person has feelings. Like every person has feelings. No matter a child, a simple child also. I can come back to the point how with Zara ma'am's thing, how the communication. You feel like she was saying that anytime you can come and talk to me. The child felt safe. Okay. So there is someone. So when we convey non-verbally, we can say non-verbally we can actually convey many things. Okay, when
that's a very good point that you put up over here. The non-verbal communication. This is like a very big aspect to consider. Now here I would just like to add one more perspective that in such cases, how is the approach of creating a non-judgmental and a very safe space for people? Because when the critique comes from our own people, it comes like a huge bite. So what? it?
Yeah, actually, nowadays, if you see, when you seek professional help, they involve family education also. It's not
Hmm.
easy for the family. It's not taught. Okay, now the mental health promotion per se is moving in the school children. They are having promotions and all. Previously, if you see that, it depends on the which generation. It might be very difficult. It is a pattern which is happening for the, what to say, parents or the siblings. It might be very
Hmm.
difficult for them to change. So it
Hmm.
should be the awareness programs that are created so that they also learn. For them also, it might be very difficult to even deal with such issues. They are also struggling. They do not know how to
Hmm.
go about it. So
Yes.
that's how.
Uh, yes, that's wonderful. We have actually a lot of topics to discuss on, but
Yes.
because of all the time constraints, we are just quickly brushing up on the important aspects
Yes. Yes.
because wonderfully we are 1 hour through this conversation. And so here I would just quickly wrap up on our taboo aspect and ask both the speakers to give 3 practical advices from their sides how we can bring a normalcy to this discussion of emotional well-being or even mental health work itself. Any one of you, Sarah ma'am, you can go ahead first.
So, well, as Dina ma'am's the expert, I am not the expert in mental health. But so, from my point of view, I think that the first and most important step is to start talking about it. If
Hmm.
we keep on maintaining a silence on these issues, then we will not be able to resolve them. We will not be
Yes.
able to approach them from a positive space. And
Hmm.
सबसे important बात ये है कि when people start talking about this either from their own experiences, then the person who is actually dealing with this will not feel like I am a freak, you know. You start
Yeah.
feeling like I am a freak, but you see, नहीं ये वाला बंदा भी ये feel कर रहा है, ये वाला बंदा भी feel कर रहा है. So when someone like Deepika Padukone, for example, talks about her mental health, then you're like, अच्छा ऐसा नहीं है, that she is not a loser. Otherwise, people think that अगर आपको कोई mental health issue है, then you are a loser. So it's
Hmm.
not a loser and a winner thing, you know. This is just like किसी को बुखार हो गया, वैसे ही किसी को कोई mental health issue भी हो सकता है. So it's not a loser winner thing. So that's why I think the first thing is to speak about it and to speak about it in a non-judgmental and positive way.
Hmm.
The second thing what we can do is to, like I said, to be supportive of the people who are going through this as friends, as
Support groups
family.
aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yes, since you mentioned support group, one of the important things is that we nowadays with the kind of the world we are living in, many times youngsters feel that their family is not does not they have a kind of a, how should I put it, ideological conflict or a perception conflict. Point of view जो है वो different हो जाता है.
Hmm.
Parents का point of view different है, आपका point of view different है. So you don't feel the kind of understanding in the family. So
Hmm.
online support groups, social media support groups, they are very helpful in this. Like personally, I found a lot of help through social media support groups because I
Okay.
found women who had gone through this or who understood this, or mental health professionals, or generally people who would understand what I'm saying, because you want to feel heard कि हमारी बात कोई सुन रहा है, कोई समझ रहा है, you know. So I think that creating this kind of support groups even through social media also becomes important, because it's not necessary कि physically हमारे चारों तरफ जो लोग हैं वो वाकई में हो भी बहुत understanding.
Hmm.
So those
That's
are the things, yeah, that I could
that's
say.
that's very nice. So Dina ma'am, coming to you.
Yeah, that's wonderful actually. Yeah, I would say that you can do at an individual level and you can do at the community level. Okay, individual level, it is like you yourself and the family, how you strengthen yourself and the family.
Hmm.
Second is coming on to the community. Community is like you have to talk about support groups. You're actually creating the awareness in the schools. I'll say how you are going to work on the prevention programs. That is like bullying could be one thing. So you are aware of it. You're creating the awareness. You're trying to prevent that. Violence can be one thing. That's how, as a community, the people can work on. Okay,
Hmm.
at the schools, or it could be the overall social support groups or daycare centers, health groups. It could be in the media. You can have it and create groups, or it could be individually small groups are created where people can come out and talk. I was just saying, as I started with this thing also, like how
Hmm.
you have gyms, right, for the physical
Yes.
health. That's how you can have. That should be a norm as a
Hmm.
community to have something to do for your mental health. So now,
Yes.
yes, so the people can actually go without taboo, without stigma to those mental health
Hmm.
centers and come. It's not that person has illness. It's not like you
Yes.
have to say that when they go for the physical fitness and all, they have illness. They're just keeping the mental health at the community level or the
Hmm.
society level.
Yeah.
It's going to be a far great challenge also, people coming up. But yeah, that's how I see at the community and the society level. And coming
Yes.
at to the individual and family, how one person can strengthen up. This is
Hmm.
about the communication. When I say it's from the child, from the birth of the child, I could go back to Zaraman's conversation. It's not about feeding the child when you're not actually feeding the child. When the child is crying, how are you responding to the child? Child feels that there is nothing. There is too much to actually that's in the initial stage it is the hunger. Who is going to give me things? Okay, child is not going to. That's how it's going. As adulthood, what happens is the person feels there is someone to hear me or someone to
Hmm.
listen to me. So at the same time, when the child cries, whether you are able to actually listen to the child, or how are you dealing with the child, or how are you responding the child. So everyone should start at the communication part, or how are you responding to each other, and it begins at the earliest part. That's
Hmm.
one thing which I would like to focus on. And how are you communicating with others? How are you sharing the emotions? How are you reacting to the emotions? Also, is very important.
Hmm.
Some problems happen. People can actually it depends how one person reacts. Sometimes it feels like okay, how exaggerated expressions. Oh, that happened. That itself can build one more emotion. So something happened to me, something big. So
Yes.
that is how you communicate to others and how
Hmm.
you respond to the problems. That's at the family
Yes.
level.
So that will come in the non-verbal communication point of
Yes.
view. So that's a very important points mentioned by both our speakers today on how we can bring this taboo or this stigma around the discussions. In fact, a lot of positivity is happening around that people are openly talking about it and working upon it. And the fact that we have so many participants here today listening to us, that itself is a very good start to all the discussions that we are doing. Here, one more aspect, since we are running short of time, there is we have already addressed to the two main objectives, that is about the stigma around these discussions and what are the practical ways of coping strategies. A lot is covered. The third objective that we had framed, I would like to direct this question, open it for the conversation. If we as an individual play different roles, there may be an overlap, but here I would like to specifically ask that as an individual, as a daughter, wife, father, son, whatever is the role, as a colleague or maybe just a friend, we play different role and we carry a professional background on us. Maybe if we are from a medical field, there's somebody who is from another field, another field. So as an individual identity, how we can contribute to bringing a normalcy curve around this discussion.
I think I have mostly spoken from the individual perspective itself.
Yes, so as a role that we are playing as a professional background, if we are, suppose what I am trying to address is what if we are in an office and we have a conversation around this, the trust factor comes very important. Okay, so individually taking up that responsibility, is there anything that you would like to share upon it?
Maybe Dina ma'am can go first.
Yes, yes, Tina ma'am.
Uh, yeah. So individually, yeah, for me personally, this thing also comes in. What to say? I cannot separate myself from the professional part. You are right. You have studied, your work, everything comes in. So the thing,
Mhm,
yeah, to reflecting what as an individual you can do it.
mhm,
At the work, it is like what you can say right now. I can give you a credit. I'm giving you a credit as such. You have taken that initiative as an individual to bring all the people together today and
mhm.
create the awareness.
Thank
Now we
you.
have, yeah, we have more than 100 people. They are the, I know out of the message, they can actually reach the other people. At least one person. Now from the 100, you have gone to 200. They can talk about it, what happened today. They can
Mhm.
have a conversation with the friends. So that's how the change is and how many people we are going to actually reach out. That's the thing, how we are
That's
going
a
to.
chain of change that you make
Yes,
together.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's wonderful to look at it. Zara ma'am, would you like to add anything here?
So since you mentioned, Dina ma'am mentioned that her professional aspect is always there. So from my professional aspect also, as a person in the media, we can have more media. The media can spread more awareness about this through insightful write-ups, through
Hmm.
personal accounts, through narratives, and especially through books on mental health. Like my book, my memoir, which is coming out. In that, I have specifically talked about going through all this, and I've
Hmm.
talked about actually going through a therapist, going to a counselor, and how it helped me. So through these, through the media and through personal accounts, through books, we can spread awareness about this so that talking about it does not remain a taboo.
Yes, that's wonderful perspective here, and we covered on all three objectives, keeping in the time constraints. Now we are leaving our conversation open to the questions. So from our participants, if they have any questions, they can drop it into the chat section, and we will definitely address to it. Okay. So till the time we are getting questions, we're taking ahead our conversation. I would like to highlight on this aspect that males and females react differently when it comes to expressing of emotions or expressing about what they are going through. That's one of the patriarchy of the society. So I would like both the speakers to add some light over here on this topic.
So the patriarchal notions of what is masculine and what is feminine creates a lot of confusion and negativity in the minds of people, and we see very often we see patriarchy as something that is affecting only women, but in truth, patriarchy is affecting men uh, as negatively as it is affecting women. Because लड़कों को ये बताया जा रहा है कि if you are a man, then you should not express your emotions. You're a real man. Boys don't cry, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, that kind of thing. So you are being taught to sort of internalize everything, whether it's guilt, whether it's grief, whatever it is, you are taught not to express it. So when you're bottling in all those emotions, then it becomes that much more difficult to actually resolve them. और वो जो आपका पूरा बैकलॉग होता है इमोशंस का, जो भी कुछ इश्यूज होते हैं जो कि आपने फेस किए होते हैं, जिसकी वजह से कोई ट्रॉमा होता है, वो जब बॉटल अप हो जाता है अंदर एंड यू आर नॉट एक्सप्रेसिंग इट एंड यू नॉट कम्युनिकेटिंग अबाउट इट एंड यू नॉट सीकिंग हेल्प फॉर इट, जब आप बोलेंगे ही नहीं तो हेल्प कहाँ से सीख करेंगे? सीकिंग हेल्प इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. वो फिर आपके आगे फ्यूचर लाइफ में जो इंटरेक्शंस है उनको इम्पैक्ट करने लगता है with your partner, or in your office, or the professional and personal life both. So for men especially, it becomes very difficult to open up. और जो अगर कोई आदमी इस तरह के होते हैं कि जो एक्सप्रेसिव हों या जो जेंटल हों, जो सो कॉल्ड अग्रेसिव मैस्कुलिन नहीं होते हैं, जैसे मर्दानगी का जो एक कॉन्सेप्ट है that you should be violent and aggressive and sort of like that. But there are men who are gentle. There is this concept of gentleness as strength. स्ट्रॉन्ग होने के माने ये नहीं है कि हम बहुत डोमिनेंट हैं. स्ट्रॉन्ग होना is you also have the ability to listen to other people and then and to act calmly, and to act calmly in a moment of difficulty. That is strength. कि calmly आप अपनी बात को communicate कर सकें और दूसरे की बात को भी सुन सकें. So then the men who are actually like that, they are ridiculed. उनको बोला जाता है कि ये तो weak है, there is something doubtful about his masculinity and things like that. So this is how we sort of perpetuate those stereotypes of what a man is like and what a woman is like. अगर लड़की बहुत outgoing है and she has leadership capabilities and she's not traditionally in the sense of जिस तरह का हम कहते हैं ना कि लड़कियों को ऐसा होना चाहिए. So then that creates a problem also because she is branded as a tomboy, ये मर्दानी है, like that. So then people have difficulty accepting their own self. फिर आपको अपनी सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी को लेकर एक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट क्रिएट हो जाता है, दैट ट्रांसलेट्स इनटू कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इन योर रिलेशनशिप्स और इवन योर प्रोफेशन. These are all issues that come up because of the kind of segregated roles of masculine and feminine.
Yes, that's a wonderful perspective. Dina ma'am, have you experienced this thing when you have been giving therapy or working with your patients, clients?
Yeah, this is like to add up to it. Society defines it. What to say, how to actually behave. So it is said that men are not much expressive. Okay, if someone expresses, it's like it's considered as weak emotions if they are expressing and all. That's how it's seen, and that's how the conversation sometimes it has come across. Like, okay, fine. As a child, if someone says something, the boy, the mother, like, you are a boy. How can you do that? That immediately comes. The boy and the girl thing comes in.
I think we need to break this pattern right from today amongst all the people. Yes.
Yeah. So don't. I would say for the family or the participants, don't bring the gender when you are talking about it. It's like emotions, occupations, everyone does it. And if I have to talk about occupations, also coming back to it, it is not like gender specific occupations. Nowadays, all are able to do certain things. All are able to do most of the things. And what happens is like, why are you doing like this? You are acting like a
Yes.
girl or you are acting like a boy. Just think on it.
Yes.
That
So
will stay when you're staying in the environment. It stay for a long time. That's what I would like to add upon.
yes. So this is one important learning that all the participants can take from here and apply it right from this moment and from today in our immediate lives. Now we have a question here coming in that can someone derive pleasure from using social media? Does it improve mental health if it gives pleasure?
Yes, there are studies which says ki, it is very there are studies which says ki you can get connected to people. You have you feel good about itself. It's not like social media is bad. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah, social media can get you connect. Can you get help? That's how social media. It's not you can get it. It's not like you don't get pleasure out of it.
That's in fact, Zara ma'am had also highlighted on how using social media she connected with people and it helped. So I think there are pros and cons to both
Yeah.
of it.
Yes, I'll just add
Yes,
that
yes.
the conversations should be meaningful and productive. Social
Mhm.
media पे जाकर अगर हम politics पे लड़ाई कर रहे हैं या religion पे लड़ाई कर रहे हैं, that is not at all helpful. So
Yes.
if you can actually connect with people with whom you can have meaningful conversations, then it is helpful.
Yes.
Yes.
You have lot of to add up with a lot of self-help groups, support groups in
Yeah.
social media for this.
Yes. That's excellent. That's excellent. So keeping away from negatives or being very watchful of what you are accessing through social media will definitely affect your mental health. Then there is another question that what not to say to people who wish are talking, you're opening up about their emotions, keeping in mind that we are not a trained mental health professional. What we should say to them when they are opening up.
You need to listen to them. Okay, when someone wants to say certain things, do not rationalize or do not exaggerate the situations. How are you listening to the person? Are you judging in that? Or you're coming up with your own story like this has happened and this is how you are bringing your own personal stories in that. That also
Mhm.
makes the person say, okay, fine.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So
Yes.
you have to listen to them without being non-judgmental. At the same time, do not even say, oh, sometimes it happens like, oh, that happened, or it's nothing. Oh, this is common thing. Like how you actually react to the person is very important. So just listening you will have without any judgment. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't show it is empathy. It is not like you are sympathizing the
That,
person. You're feeling pity for the person. You're feeling showing that misery. Or that should be avoided.
That's a very yes, yes, ma'am. Please.
Many times what happens is that people say, अरे ये तो तुम्हारी ही गलती थी, you know. तुमने
Mm-hmm.
ऐसा
The
तुमने ऐसा
blame
किया
game.
इसलिए
Yes,
ऐसा
yes,
हुआ.
yes.
So we really
Yes.
this is one thing you should definitely avoid saying to the person. कि अरे तुम्हारी भी तो गलती थी इसमें कि तुमने ऐसा किया इसलिए. No? Definitely not.
Hmm. So that blame aspect plays a very important role, I think, here. That we should not blame and listening or silence. Silence itself is powerful when somebody is expressing. I think being silent, being very attentive itself will make a huge difference. There is somebody's mute. Somebody is on unmute. Please. Okay. Yeah. There is another question or some note that has come. I will read it out. So now everybody has started talking about the importance of mental health as soon as we got to know about Sushant Singh Rajput's suicide news. What an important topic you guys have chosen. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, here anything, the suicide aspect is something that we have not really spoken in length about today, but quickly I would like to request both the speakers to just add a few of their insight on this aspect.
Dina ma'am, would you like?
Yeah. I will just start with lockdown and suicide. I'll just start with my experience. Like what happened was initially the lockdown was announced in the month of March. So I started reading papers like people are committing suicide. A lot of cases came up saying that suicides are happening. So it brought an interest in me to know why people are committing suicide. I was basically seeing it. One of the interesting thing happened was because of unavailability of alcohol, people were committing suicide. Just wanted to know about it, and I did a study on it. So from the newspaper, we analyzed from the month of March to May, and we saw that actually there was nothing like the person. It's basically related to the coronavirus and the suicide thing. We started seeing the relationship. It was not. Most of the cases who had committed suicide were because of the fear. Okay, they had the fear that they will get something. They had the fear that they are going to transfer the illness to someone else. Okay, that was a major finding, and they did not express, they did not validate even their thoughts when they saw, they read that, okay, one of the things was like, you get COVID through currency. They did not ask, they did not validate whatever they hear, they thought, they believed it. That makes a lot of difference. Like when you have fear or you do not know how to express your anxiety, or sometimes it can be impulsively. So we need to know, we need to talk to people. Now this is a time, it's a very crucial time. I understand everyone are going through a lot of things. It could be because of
Hmm.
the employment status, finance status. It could be because of the, the restrictions. There's a lot of happening. Lot of emotions are on a roller coaster ride kind of a thing. So we need to
Hmm.
talk. We need to express. We cannot hold on ourselves, and we don't get that solution. That makes the person, there is no solution, or it can be a impulsive act. It's better to express, and being connected is also very important. Like a lot of the people are stuck. They are being alone. They are being, it just happens so suddenly. They are not getting help. They're being alone. They're struggling since 2 months. So we need to actually connect to the people that could help out to know what each one are going through it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Okay. So we have a lot of questions, in fact, in the chat box, and we are running out of time also. But I would like to address a few questions here. There is one question that comes is, how does one deal with unfulfilled expectations from important people of their lives, despite them knowing how their refusal hurts you?
pardon. This was time unfulfilled expectations. Despite.
Um, how can one deal with unfulfilled expectations from important people of their lives,
Hmm.
despite knowing that their refusal will hurt you?
Okay. It's
I
just,
think there is. I'm sorry. I'm just
yeah,
jumping.
yeah, you can. Yeah, yeah, sure,
There is
sure.
something that I wrote also on one of my columns about this from a parent's perspective.
Hmm.
That as we are bringing up our children, we need to inculcate in them the acceptance of failure also. That sometimes
Yes.
it is possible that we try to get something, but we don't get it. My son used to get very upset when when we played together and he lost. He
Hmm.
expected that we should lose and we should make him win every time. But then I would tell my husband and my mother, I said, please don't usko har baar jeetne mat do, because he should also be used to the fact that sometimes he will not win. You know,
Hmm.
so we have to understand that in life it's not possible to always win, and how we cope with that failure. That's coping with that failure is very important, and that's where the friends and family come in. And I think Dina ma'am can give better examples of how to cope with that failure.
Yes. I had one of in my slide. I've not completed it in my presentation. Actually,
Okay. Okay.
I had written it's like success. It's like if you are in the child, if you are expecting from the childhood full success, like if you are focusing on the child to be first, second, every time, what happens is the child does not know how to take up the disappointment. Now it is a safe environment in the family. It's okay. When the child goes out, okay, what happens is it's very demanding outside. So the child needs to cope with the disappointment. It's not always in life that you are able to fulfill all your needs or expectations, okay, from others. There is a difference of interest. There is a difference of interest. Everyone, opinion, all these things is common. Are we able to deal with that? How are you going to actually accept those differences? That is very important. People struggle in accepting, okay, the differences or not meeting the demands. Some it will happen that, okay, fine, my expectations are not filled. Sometimes it happens that the person does not like me.
Hmm.
That's why the person is not fulfilling. Those thoughts can come up. So I'm not sure like in what context the participant has asked. You need
Hmm.
to actually relate to your context, see what is it, whether the person is purposely doing. Sometimes it could be the person is not understanding your whoever you have referred to
Hmm.
is not actually knowing that what you are expecting. There might be not
Hmm.
said. You are expecting certain things which you have not verbally said. That could be one
Yeah.
thing that you are expecting. The other person may not know what is expected from you. I'm relating
Yeah.
to the participant who
Okay.
asked the question. So it
Yes.
can happen whether it was verbally said. What is the this thing? What is the why? What it is? Why the person could not make it or what?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I could.
Yes. So there are a lot of questions. Another question that has come up is, some mental health issues have roots in childhood, or if they haven't been taught how to handle situations in childhood? We already had a discussion around this topic, how in childhood working on the emotional health plays a crucial role. But if speakers would like to quickly add some points here, because we are running out of time now. Yeah.
Yes, according to some theories, if I have to say, yeah, childhood plays a role. Actually, each stage, if you have to say, initially, if I have to go to back to the stages, they say about initial stage is building trust. Okay, trust is
Hmm.
built by when you are able to fulfill the basic needs of the child develops trust. And then it is like the stages move on. So it has a role how you react it. It's not always the person who has problem in the child will get problems in the adulthood. It depends all on the genetic makeup of the uh, person.
I have a small
Hmm.
personal experience to add to this, Simon, very quickly.
Yes. Yes. Sure. Sure.
What my psychologist told me, because this question is directly relevant to that. Because I had a very, very serious depression issue because my husband and I were living separately and I was very attached to him. It was a love marriage and everything. So, yeah. So, what she said to me, she said that it's an excessive, obsessive attachment to your partner is because she asked me lots of questions. And then she said, I lost my father when I was 9 years old. So she said that there is this separation anxiety in your mind because you were separated from your father in such an early age. So that separation anxiety has translated into this separation. And now, when you are separated from the person that you love so much, that separation anxiety has somehow sort of clouded your mind, and those emotions are getting mixed with these emotions subconsciously.
That was a wonderful insight, Zara ma'am, that you added.
Yeah.
And yes, it does play a very significant role that even I have observed in my clinical experience, like the problems that are not addressed in childhood. And I think as an individually हमें इस चीज़ का बहुत ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि हम हमारे बच्चों को किस तरह से ग्रूम कर रहे हैं उनके इमोशनल हेल्थ के लिए और उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस पे हम ज़्यादा ध्यान दें या तवज्जो दें, so that we can work upon and teach them to handle these situations.
I don't think in my case, because my father just passed away, so there was nothing anybody could do. But
Yes.
knowing this, so that this is where therapy and psychology, counseling comes in. That because
Hmm.
she told me that this was the issue, so now I can address those feelings of obsessive attachment. And
Hmm.
now I can work on this issue because I know that this is the issue, so I can work on this consciously. That's where
Wonderful.
counseling comes in.
Yes, wonderful. So we are going to take two more questions now before we wrap up at 4:30. So one question is that ego plays a crucial part in deciding our attitudes. And don't you think that acceptance or realities and compromising the respecting of feelings can make respecting the feeling the other solves more complicated situations? So they are referring to accepting of realities. Dina ma'am, would you just highlight on this aspect?
Okay, I'll restate. It's about ego and reality. Is it that?
Yes.
Yes. Again, coming back to how it is developed. It is like it doesn't come in adulthood suddenly. It develops from the childhood. Okay?
Hmm.
We actually accept how the failures, how the communications are there. It have to go. It's a big theory. I have to explain to it. So I'll say in a simple word. It's like
Hmm.
how it is developed in the childhood. Okay, how it has been formed. That has you're not what to say impact on the adulthood.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I'm clear.
Okay. Um, okay. So there's one more question. How can I speak and help someone with mental health problems like depression or anxiety? I think we have addressed this on how our approach should be while dealing with the problem. There is this question that we all know that therapy or seeking some professional help would be helpful for people facing mental health issues. We also know that therapy sessions can be quite costly. What can we do in this case? So this is another aspect that I think I would again address to Dina ma'am.
Um, Actually, there are self-help groups is one thing. You need to identify the self-help groups that could help out. If you feel that therapy is costly, but not always. Like sometimes you need to take up, because if you are able to go to a professional only, they will be able to identify. Not always, like you might be talking to a person that might get unnoticed.
Hmm.
So that is one thing. Or join some self-help groups. Ask. Media has got lot, or it is depends on where the person comes from. There can be communities where there can be NGOs. So
Hmm.
exploring the community, that could help up. Which I could say, if your one is looking for, if they feel that it's expensive kind of thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, understand.
Yes, wonderful. So we had a very good discussion around a lot of aspects. In fact, 1.5 hour fell short to
Yes,
cover all
yes,
the points that we intended to, but we gave our best to all the questions that we have many more questions, but due to time constraints, we are not picking up all, and there are repetitive questions too. But if anyone has any personal issues or any questions in mind, they can contact us directly. We have our e-clinic services that happens, which is available. Our services, you can contact us on our e-service, e-clinic service. We can reach out to us for various issues. We will be happy to address and be at your service. Details are displayed on your screen here. Before we wrap up, I would request both the speakers to give few points as takeaway for the participants to this entire conversation, a gist that they should take like a take home message for them.
Okay. So from my side, the take-home message is: if you have a mental health issue, if you feel like you're facing depression or anxiety or something, please always try to talk to someone you trust. And you are not a freak. That is the first thing to remember. You're not a freak, and if anybody else is having these issues, he or she is not a freak. Talking about this is completely normal, and it's healthy to talk about this and to seek help for some issues that you're facing. It's normal and it's healthy. And we all need to build a more sensitive environment and supportive environment. That's the takeaway from my side.
That's wonderful. Dina ma'am.
yes. If I have to say about things, it's mental health. And it's about mental health. It's not about illness. Talk without illness also. That's one thing which I and Simon also yesterday had the conversation. Like when we had this mental health title for the workshop, it came like
Yes.
why I should attend. She said, and when I said to my family member, like, okay, I'm having a talk today. Will you be interested to talk on it? This, immediately the question came is, what is the topic? I said mental health. She said, I'm all right. So yeah, so we should actually yeah. So we should not consider as an illness. However, I said that how much importance you're giving for physical health, same importance we need to give for your mental health. That will help out to. That's a
Even if you are
very
healthy, you still need to maintain that health.
yes. You have to.
Yes.
So that you will prevent the disease. You are actually now what we are doing is, if I have to relate back to COVID, we are actually working on prevention.
Prevention.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
That's
So yes,
amazing.
yes,
That's a
yes,
very
Yes.
good point. Very good point.
That's an amazing point that you have put up. We are on a preventive measure right now, and so our speakers have summarized it beautifully, and we have addressed to all our objectives. And I would like to extend my vote of thanks to them for taking out their precious time and being here present, addressing to all the questions, and aptly answering each of it and giving us such beautiful insight to every dimension of this conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here, Zara ma'am and Tina ma'am.
Thank you.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
and of course, we are very grateful to all the participants who are here with us, listening to us since 1.5 hours, without whom this wouldn't have been possible. And on my back end, my team members, Dr. Mahima and Dr. Sachin Rathod, who have been very vital in making this event happen. We're grateful to each of you. Thank you so much for being here.
You have been a great moderator, asking really
Yes.
good questions.
Thank you so much for the compliment.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
organization itself, like organizing the event itself, was a good start
Thank
for
you
me.
so much. Thank you so much. So with this note, a message to all our participants, all our audience, please, we are hoping that this conversation would have given you much more dimensions to think, and please take this and take it as a responsibility in the society to draw a normal, a flat curve, just like we are expecting a COVID flat curve to come up. Let's bring a flat curve to the talks of mental health or mental well-being as well. Thank you so much, one and all.
Thank you so.
So with this, we bring an end to the meet. Thank you.
All right.